Today, President Trump saying Iran will be hit very hard as the war rages for over a week. The State Department also approving millions of dollars in munitions to Israel. Joining me now is David Wurmser, Middle East Affairs Analyst at the Center for Security Policy and former Senior Advisor to U.S. Vice President Cheney on the Middle East and Strategic Affairs. David, thank you so much for joining us. So first, David, the president says areas and groups of people that weren't on the U.S. hit list are now under serious consideration. What could this mean for Iran?
Well, I think what it probably means is that we're expanding. If in the first few phases of the war, we thought there might be some leader that rises at the top of the structure who sees the writing on the wall and is willing to finally cut a deal to surrender or in the very least to give in on all the things that we had demanded, we were sparing some people. It seems that list of people who were being spared probably now is going to be discarded, and the regime itself is being overthrown, and people are basically being told surrender or get out. Or either way, you're finished. So that's what he means, I think, by more people. And I think what you're going to start seeing is some of the clerics that are core to the regime, some of the politicians that you've seen core to the regime, people perhaps like Larijani or Pezeshkian or so forth, the president. These are the sorts of people that had been spared so far that maybe now may find themselves on a target list. The second thing, as far as areas go, I believe it's areas of function that have not been touched. For example, the energy sector. It's critical oil and gas be taken out in the core of the country because you can't run a motorcycle, a car, or vehicle without gasoline. And if you hit all the gasoline stations and depots, you essentially, the repressive structures of the state run out of gas, and they can't show up to suppress people. So I think we're talking those sorts of changes right now.
And how are you reading Iran's apologizing to its neighbors over the strikes?
Well, I think it's realizing that the attempt to create pressure on the United States and Israel to stop the war by leaning on their Sunni associates, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, and so forth, Saudi Arabia, has failed. The United States isn't at all moved by that. And on the other hand, it's created a lot of trouble. Turkey which is working fairly closely with the Iranian regime, is trying to implore them not to do it anymore because it's only causing more anger in the Arab world and creating the optics of the Israeli Air Force defending Arab nations. I mean, it's bad enough the United States is defending Arab nations, Israelis defending Arab nations. For those who don't like Israel, that is a terrible image to have. And so I think the Turks prevailed on Iran to stop the attacks on those Arab countries that are facilitating American attacks. At the same time, I think those Arab countries have sent a signal to Iran that they will not let America operate from their territory, whether it's Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and so forth, going forward. And that way they can remove themselves from the cycle of violence, whereas UAE, for example, still allows America to operate.
So we're going to listen now to the president giving an update on the operation. So let's listen.
It's been amazing. We've knocked out 42 Navy ships, some of them very large, in 3 days. That was the end of the Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their communications, and all telecommunications is gone.
So how degraded is Iran's military now?
It's very degraded. I mean, it's air defense. I think the president's being pretty accurate here. I know he sometimes is rather flamboyant and so forth, but he's being, I think, pretty sober and accurate here. There really is no more Navy. There really is minimal, negligible air defense. The missile forces we see from the first day in which you had a couple hundred missiles shot is second to end, 500, 600 drones shot by Iran at the various countries, including Israel and UAE and so forth, to now when we're seeing less than 10. It's a linear decline. The amount of launchers are being destroyed are probably around 75% at this point. Iran really is beginning to lose its ability to hurt anybody outside of the country, which is why, by the way, we may see Yemen, the Houthis, and we are seeing Hezbollah intervene, because that's the only strategic structure Iran still has to hurt somebody. And so we see them entering the war. But they most likely are not going to have a major effect either. So Iran really is degraded in the internal security structures. You're seeing a tremendous amount of attacks in the last 24 hours, destroying the repressive structures of the Iranian state and beginning to lay the groundwork for clearing the deck for an uprising.
Now, David, meanwhile, the State Department has approved the sale of $152 million in munitions to Israel without congressional approval. So how will this play into the war?
Well, it'll help the Israelis continue to have a major role here. One thing we have found with the Israelis is they really are, whatever, $2 or $3 billion we gave them, they are serving as a major element of the American war effort here against Iran to defend the whole region and stabilize the whole region. They are operating, the only Air Force in the world operating at the same level as the United States Air Force. They're smaller, of course, but they're at the same level of capability. The United States now says they're actually the second most powerful Air Force in the world. So by selling them those bombs, we reduce the number of times we ourselves have to go bomb somebody, and that shortens the span of the war. The second thing is that the Israelis do have this problem of Hezbollah, and probably in the next few hours, the Yemenites, the Houthis. And that means that the Israelis will have to have more munitions in order to fight those wars, probably not simultaneously, but sequentially. So the Israeli amount of ordnance used is being burned very fast. But for the United States, we're happy for them to do it, because it's as if American aircraft are doing it capably in full integration with our Air Force without us even having to take that risk. And it's just somebody doing the heavy lifting with us.
And as you know, President Trump has called for an unconditional surrender. So do you believe that Iran will surrender? And if they do, what would that look like?
Well, again, I think the president phrased it probably correctly, which is they will surrender. The question is who and at what level. We saw a sort of a surrender, sort of what we're looking for is something like what the Japanese did at the end of World War II, where the government understood it was over and essentially signed away the nation and said, we're done, we can't fight anymore, fine, we'll leave power. But if that doesn't happen, the president has basically said they don't have, at the end of this, they will not have the means to fight. And at that point, the Iranian people take it. So one way or the other, this regime is done, and they will no longer be able to fight. They will essentially surrender or be involuntarily surrendered.
All right, David Wurmser, we're going to see how long that takes for them to, surrender. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.